Thrilled to be with you once again. I'm Yetta Dekker, and today I'm with one of my favorite people.
I'm Ryan Dekker.
And we're going to talk about why. Why do we do what we do, and why do our clients work with us?
Yeah, why?
Why?
So I'm going to lead this off, Yetta. So in order to find out why, we got to know why it started. Why are we doing this? You know, what? Not just why are we selling houses, but what's the point of the Dekker Team?
And you want to know that?
I want to know. Let's hear it.
Okay. The why is, and it's taken us really almost 3 decades to get clarity to it, right? And I would say that we're still getting clarity to it day by day.
Well, it's a work in progress, right?
It's a work in
You're
progress.
always trying to get better at your why, otherwise you're stagnant.
Yeah, and if you're stagnant, you're actually going backwards. And that's the last thing we want to do. And the reason I start with that part of the story is it is all about moving people forward. And so the whole idea of being stagnant and not moving forward is actually in contradiction to what we're all about.
So what are you all about? Spell it out for me. What are we all about?
Right, thank you. What is the whole team all about? It's about moving you forward, whether it be moving you forward, moving us forward. It's just about moving forward, I guess if I could get it down to 2 words, moving forward. And what does that look like? It could look like moving you forward and getting your home sold. And even our slogan, and we didn't have all this put together consciously. It just, now we start to see almost the genius that was unthought of behind a lot of the things that we've ended up doing. It's kind of fascinating, actually. So moving you forward from a slogan perspective, underneath the DekkerTeam.com logo, we always have a phrase that says, proven performance that moves you fast. And so even if we go back to when that was created, that was even an evolution. We started out with proven performance that moves you. Then we got to proven performance that moves you fast. And really, it's the proven performance and years, decades now of helping clients, not just in real estate, in everything that allows us to accomplish things with performance and do it quicker than just about anybody else I know.
So you just said that, we do it quicker, we do it faster. And that's over the years, right? It's been developed. So we've got the systems allowing us to do that, not sloppily, but really, really well, helping people move forward. And so that is developed, right? As we've been saying, over how many years?
27 years.
27 years.
27 years.
Which is a long time.
It's a long time.
Long time.
It's as long as many people have been alive that are listening or watching right now. So I get it's a long time, and we're still learning. And so it even is so intrinsic to moving me forward, moving you forward, moving Ken forward, Candace forward, Linda forward, our entire team, moving forward so that we can move you forward and help you with those decisions that you may not otherwise be able to navigate. Because they do often take expertise that, unless you're in the industry, you couldn't expect to have. And so you also asked me before we were on air, we were talking about, what do we want to say? How do we want to say it? How do we want to convey this to those that are listening and watching? And I had really not much of an idea because it seems very vulnerable for me to also put it out there to potentially thousands or hundreds of thousands of people or millions. To hear, why do we do what we do? And then what happens when we don't align to that? That's scary to me.
Well, because you're saying this is what I stand for. And if you don't stand for it, then what?
Yeah, it's horrible.
No, what's interesting about that is people, even if you don't say, this is our why.
Well, no, we don't.
I know. Right now we are. Now we are.
Right.
But even when we don't say it, people should still understand that by our actions.
Right.
They should still understand by the people we connect them with, by the way we list their homes, by the way we get them on the market, by how quick our homes sell compared to the average home on the market. By everything we do, it says our why.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is, although yes, you're being vulnerable, you've been vulnerable just by already doing it.
Right. I guess now that they've heard the underpinning
it's easier
of the
to
why,
judge. Yeah.
now you get to judge whether we're nailing it.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
I think that's the vulnerable part.
Okay.
Vulnerable part. I, for years, have known and believed that unless I'm authentic and doing my utmost and doing my best and doing what I believe God's calling me to, then I'm leaving stuff on the table, and that doesn't help you. It doesn't move you forward. So that I've known, I just haven't necessarily been expressing the underpinning, so that when I didn't get it right, maybe there was incongruency and you didn't know why it didn't feel right, except you weren't sure. And that somehow feels easier, safer?
Yeah, for sure. So, with the why,
Yeah.
let's hear some stories. So, we're saying that it's about moving people forward. So, what would that look like? Give me an example of a client, but maybe change their name to protect the innocent.
Well, yeah, it's not right to, unless I've asked permission of you, I would never say your name. So if you hear yourself in the story, it may be you, or it actually may be somebody else, because often, I know even with the book that Ken wrote, so that's actually a perfect example, the wealth formula was really written to move people forward in their financial and in all areas of their life. Because if you've read the book, you'll recognize that there is as much wisdom and insight in the book on relationships and on growth and on just living a fantastic life as there is on finances.
Yeah, and even how to find a mentor. That's woven through, woven? There we go. Woven through the book is not only how to get a mentor, but how to keep one over the years.
Yeah.
And so that's something that not everyone picks up on, but it's in there, so you can start to develop that and be moved forward.
Right. So even in terms of writing that book, that was written with our why clearly grounded, which is neat, because I just met with a client yesterday, so you may be able to figure out who you are. And one of the things he said, and they said, is when Leah, our client care coordinator, was talking to them on the phone, they called, they said, we're ready to move again. Can you come help us? And she said, well, will you be chatting with any other people about that process? And they said, well, no, absolutely not. We've had help from Ken and Yetta to buy 2 other homes, 3 actually. The original one when we moved to Ottawa years ago that now is an investment property. And then last year we bought an investment property to add to our first investment property. And then we live in a home now that you helped us buy. And so we would absolutely not consider going anywhere else, because we know that you protect us, you guide us. In essence, what he was saying is you move us forward. And so, and he's read the book, he's been to the workshops. He was actually one of my faves in terms of, he brought the book to one of our client celebrations. Do you remember that, right?
I do.
And the book was tabbed and highlighted and notes on every page, and he had specific questions to further move him forward relative to what was on those pages.
Yeah, that's great.
And so that's just one example of one of our clients where 3 or 4 things that we've done or we are doing has moved them forward, which is fascinating.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Another area that we often have moved people forward is one I can think of, several actually, where they didn't want to sell their house and they did want to sell their house. A conversation where they know they have to, and yet they don't really want to. And so because we come at it from a consultative approach rather than just, can I get your house on the market and get it sold for you? I know how to do that when the time comes.
Yeah.
That's what the whole proven performance and results.
But that's not our why.
That's not our why, although it's part of the result often of our why. And so we ask the questions. What is it that's causing you to want to move? And it became really clear in this situation and several others that they didn't want to move. And so in further explanation or understanding or exploring, because we do ask them to let us into their world, because if you don't, we can't actually be of as much value. We can't give you those words of wisdom that we don't even know are words of wisdom sometimes. They're just in the questions. You've already got the answers within you. So a lot of times it's just asking the question. And then you yourself move you forward. So it's nothing magical we're doing other than being aligned with having your best interest at heart and it being about moving you.
Yeah, and also with the questions, coming in and consulting with you and really digging in. I mean, that would be like going to the doctor and then being like, well, I don't need to ask you any questions. We're just going to give you this drug and that drug and this drug and let's go. And I mean, we're not doctors, obviously, and we are dealing with often people's biggest asset.
Right.
They've worked so hard and so long to create this asset for themselves. And so we're very serious about making sure we're giving the right diagnosis.
Well, the right prescription after knowing the diagnosis.
Yeah.
Right? So if we would be, in Ryan's example of a doctor, if we simply went in there and if a doctor gave you a prescription without a diagnosis, we would call that malpractice.
Yeah.
And so in real estate, it really isn't any different. We owe it to you as a professional in the real estate industry to ask you the questions that maybe you haven't explored. And if you have, you have the answers and they roll off your tongue and it's easy. And if you haven't, you go into thinking mode.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Because in that thinking, you already know the answer within. You may not have articulated the answer or even brought it to your consciousness, and yet you will when the right questions are asked. And there's nothing more, and that is magical. It's not the magic we bring, and yet that experience is truly magical.
Yeah.
And we love when people will meet us there. And that's actually one of the ways we know whether we're actually suited to the client, is can we help you do what we know we're capable of helping you do for your benefit? It's always about you.
Yeah.
And so back to this client and this story is one of them. It became clear that they did not want to move. And yet they had to based on financial pressures because he had lost his job. And so we asked about his skills and what he did for a living. And we actually, through our community newsletter, which has been around since 1989, so as long as we have, and it goes out to almost 20,000 people now, whether by email or by hard copy in a few communities, primarily email now. That newsletter, we promoted him in his new business in it. And we talked to those that we knew and we got him a few to start him. We got him some jobs. And so we found out his background was in construction. So he could become a contractor. And he did. And 20 years later, he's still in his house.
That's great.
He's added additions. He's added garages. I mean, how does that make me happy? Right? Because it got him where he needed to go. And there's
which was staying where he was.
Which was staying, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fascinating. And there's lots of other stories similar to that one. That one was just in our reasonably early on. It might have even been 23, 24, 25 years ago. Like it was a long time ago. So even when we couldn't have articulated it back then, because our slogan at the time would have been, all our homes need are families. So we were starting with that understanding and yet really didn't have it yet. If you're just joining us now, you're listening to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Dekker Team, and I'm Yetta Dekker.
And I'm Ryan Dekker.
And we've been talking about why. Why do we do what we do? Why do you do what you do? And why do you work with us? And why do we work with you? Just the whole question of why. So if you missed the first half, I think you want to go back and listen to it because it's kind of fascinating stuff.
Absolutely.
And pretty raw.
Yeah.
Because there was no rehearsal here.
It's all good. So I have a client, a bunch of clients, but we'll talk about this one client, and we'll call them Susie and Sam. Okay. So Susie and Sam, they came to you guys at first, and they needed to downsize their house because they were in financial stress. They had made some bad decisions, and they owed a lot of money, and they had to downsize. And so they did downsize. You helped them sell their house, and I got the privilege of helping them find their new house. And since then, I've also helped them buy a duplex, and I believe Dad also helped them buy another duplex.
Yeah.
So since the downsizing stage, which is necessary at the time, we've been able to walk them through that and walk them through now growth and now investing, and it's been really neat to watch that couple grow, and that hasn't been that long.
No, 5 years?
Maybe.
Maybe 5 years.
So going from downsizing to buying...
Because they were way out of control.
They were in trouble.
Like big trouble.
Yeah.
And didn't have an understanding of how to manage money. That's how they got into trouble.
Yeah.
And they would admit that. And now they've attended workshops that we've done, they've attended courses we've done, they've read the book, they've hung out with us, they've learned from us, and they've taken the counsel.
Yeah. Well,
and then they've implemented it in their own lives. And each time I would see them, especially that first little season, because when I first did the move, there was more sadness than there was joy.
Yeah, it was hard.
It was really hard. And there was
a lot of tears.
A lot of tears. And I would even say maybe some bitterness toward us, only because you're the vehicle sometimes for doing something, helping somebody do something they don't want to do, and yet they have to do. And so there would often... it was uncomfortable, even for me. And so when they then started to get things in order and were able to when they actually took full responsibility themselves for it, which they did beautifully, we watched about 10 years drop off them, right? Like the next time I saw them after they'd attended one of our courses and started implementing and really living it, it was like their marriage got better. Their relationship with their kids got better. Everything improved for them, and they got to move forward in so much more than their real estate. I mean, that happened too, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, well, that was kind of the launching ground, right?
Yeah.
Because once they got their home under control and then their finances under control, then they could work on their relationships, and now they're moving into the mission field. And so, like, that growth in 5 years is insane.
It's wonderful.
And it's awesome.
Yeah. So that's another neat example. And some of the other things that we do that we aren't really, they're not real estate at all. And yet real estate, or being in the industry of real estate, has given us the opportunity of connecting people to other great people.
Yeah, because we're not the experts at everything.
No.
Absolutely not.
Like, absolutely not. We're an expert on 3 or 4 things, and the rest of them, it's kind of hands off, right?
Well, no, it's not hands off.
Hands off in terms of getting in the middle of it myself.
Yes, but we will connect those people where they need to go.
Exactly.
Because if we're really about moving people forward, if we just said, we're hands off, we're not doing this anymore.
I won't touch what I don't know.
I know. But if we're not doing this...
Don't misunderstand me, buddy.
That's why I'm making it clear.
Okay.
We say, we've got the right person for you.
Right.
And we are, 27 years of being diligent with making connections and knowing who we need in each area, from counselors to construction workers to inspectors to financial planners. It doesn't matter.
Hairdressers, babysitters.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Dog groomers.
Yeah.
Like, it really, what it is irrelevant to us, because it really is about moving you forward. It's helping you move in the direction you want to move and in the direction you need to move.
Yeah.
And so we have hundreds of people in our data bank of people that we can connect you with. And there isn't a day where we don't connect, many times every day actually, that we don't connect one of our clients or one of the people that knows us well with somebody else that we know well, which is really a marvelous place.
Yeah, so I'm going to say this. If you are someone and you have a business or something that you do, and your vision is to help people move forward, and you're committed to that, give us a call, because we want to be in alignment with you.
Right, and even to the point that we will partner with you at even interview on one of our shows. If we can connect it to real estate in any way possible, so that we can give value to those that look to us as the real estate resource and to move them forward, then we want to honor you in that way.
Yeah, well, because you're a person who also wants that.
Right, that's what I mean.
So we're in congruency.
Right,
yeah.
And then we will also add you to our data bank and introduce you to other people. And we do more introductions than we do referrals. And the reason for that, do you know, Ryan?
Well, tell me the difference between them.
Well, a referral is, I give you the name of somebody I know that's good at what they do. So maybe somebody says, do you know a realtor? And you go, yeah, the Dekker Team, give them a call. And here's their number.
Yeah.
Here's their card.
That's a referral.
That's a referral. And that's certainly appreciated. That's very kind. It certainly is helpful.
Yeah.
And very seldom does that person that was given the referral actually take action.
So if we're giving the name, we obviously want them to take action, or what's the point, right?
Right.
So what is a more powerful way, or a way that it seems to work more often than not?
Well, that's an introduction.
Okay,
and
so
that
what
was
does
what
that
I was
look
saying in
like?
the introduction. So when we want to introduce one of our clients to another client or someone else that we know that provides a service, we actually introduce them to one another, whether it's a phone call saying, hey, from us, saying, hey, call so-and-so, this is their number. Often what we will do today is we will also send a connecting email.
Yeah.
A connection on Facebook Messenger, connection on email, a connect on text. So do a group text, do group email, so that I actually bring the parties together.
Yeah, so it looks something like this. Hey, Dave and Oppen, here's Sue and Sam. I told them all about you. They know you're awesome. They're expecting your call. Here's their number. And they'll both be CC'd in there.
And I put both their numbers.
Yeah, both their numbers are there, both their emails. So they're now introduced. There's no reason why they won't connect, because they've been introduced.
Exactly.
They are connected.
They are connected, and now it's just a matter of them choosing to move that forward. And yet I wouldn't have connected them and introduced them if I didn't already know that that's what they were wanting to do.
Yeah.
Right?
And that they are a great fit. We know
and they're a great fit. We already know they're a fantastic fit. So rather than giving 3 names,
Yeah.
even though that would be safer for us to do,
I disagree.
well, legally it would be safer to do, and
Yes.
and yet it doesn't serve you.
Yeah. Well, that's, safer, no, because I know these
It's not
people.
safer
I
for the
trust
person.
these people.
Right.
You know, there's safety in knowing that these people bring value.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. No argument there, Ryan.
Good. So we've covered the why.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, we've given some stories on the why and what it looks like. So what does this look like going forwards? I know it's a tough question, and I might be getting some secrets that maybe you're not ready to divulge yet, but
I think it's focusing more on making sure everything we do, every system we implement, every piece of promotional marketing that we put out there, every workshop that we host, every book that we write, every raw and reel that we record is congruent with moving forward in being all we were created to be. Not just us, you, the listener, the viewer, the person that's going to participate. So sometimes it's allowing people to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Our staff, even internally, what does that look like?
yeah.
It looks like we just took a course and called Bold with really our whole team was there to learn alongside each other, and it was painful, right?
It's an intense course.
It's an intense course. It was painful, and we're actually going to, on a later show, 2 of our support team members, as well as Ken, are going to talk about what that experience was like for them. And that was something that at the very first course, and hopefully they'll share the story when they do the show, and in case they don't, I'm going to rat them out right now. One of the gals, she's taken it twice now, and the very first time she took it, she actually, by 10 o'clock on the first morning of 8 full days of intense real estate learning.
And these are spread out. They're not 8 in a row.
No,
They're 1
it's
a
8
week
weeks.
Because it's intense.
Because there's a lot of work to do in between. There's a lot of life work to do actually every single week. So it's actually 8 weeks of intensity. And by 10 o'clock, I looked around the room and she was gone. And she wouldn't return my emails. She wouldn't return my texts. There was no way I could track her down. And I much later did track her down, demanded actually that she come back. And I was that didn't happen. I was just in shock. And so she now has taken it again. It has been transformational. It has moved her forward.
I just want to say you were in shock, but you were also committed to moving her forward. Yeah. Because especially you knew that this was a barrier to moving forward. Yeah. And so since she took it, it was amazing for her, not just in real estate, but also in her life.
It's been transformational.
Yeah.
And who knew?
Well, you did.
I guess I did. And so often we don't even know what we don't know. Or we don't even know what we know.
You just know that you know.
Right.
How's that?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Subconsciously versus consciously sometimes. Yeah. Something in me wanted that so badly for her. And so you're going to hear about that more in a future show. And there is just so much that we could say about this topic. It's kind of endless. And I hope you've gotten a little bit of insight into who we are. And if you align with that, if your purpose is our purpose and our purpose is your purpose, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Then what's going to happen is we're going to be a fantastic fit with each other.
Yeah.
And that excites me because it is wonderful to help someone and have someone help you that you actually agree with the fundamental core reason that they're doing what they do. Whether it is my car mechanic, whether it is my lawn maintenance guy, whether it's my window washing guy, whether it's my gal that cleans my house, which I love, by the way, it matters that we have similar reasons underpinning why we do it, because then it just works. It's a beautiful thing. So thanks for joining us today, and I do not want to be remiss in connecting you with a fantastic property that's just being launched onto the market. It is on a couple of acres. It is just outside Greeley. It is absolutely unique, eclectic, and fabulous all at the same time. It is spacious. You will never have water problems in this home because it is built on grade, and it's only about 10 years old, so it is 3,500 square feet of sprawling bungalow. Yeah, is that not incredible? So if that sounds like that might be where you want to move to, then you definitely want to reach out to us so that we can get you connected with that property. And if it's not that one, and you're just thinking about any move, or you need to be connected with anybody for basically any reason, give us a call, because we will help you with that. Our entire team believes, so I think that's important actually, our entire team believes in moving forward. And moving you forward and themselves forward. So come and join us on that journey. Ryan, what are your parting words for our wonderful clients and people that connect with us on air?
Just really excited we get to connect with you guys once a week and pour into your lives and just hopefully move you forward.
Thank you, and come move us too. Thanks a lot.
Bye for now.